My last video consisted of enclosing and powering this Banggood power supply. And it's proved to be a pretty nice little power supply. I've used it for a couple of weeks. Everything seems to work fine. The front panel voltage and current meters are active and work. And just for the hell of it, take note that there is no flickering of the display that is bouncing back and forth of digits in the voltmeter system. When I completed this power supply, I had quite a bit of leftover equipment. I had, for example, the first power supply I purchased in order to do the video. I purchased two power supplies in case I had a problem with the first one. And rather than fix the problem, I proceeded to just shove this aside, assemble the second power supply, and finish the video. Now I've come around to trying to fix this power supply, and I'll show you what I mean by instability. The top display, which right now is at 4.0 volts, is the desired output voltage. And you can see the bottom display, which is output volts, is bouncing all around. I was also left with a number of these Banggood cases. These are available on Banggood for less than $8 a piece. It's a very nice case. The enclosure is roughly a little smaller than 8, a little smaller than 3, and about 7 inches deep. Banggood actually recommends this enclosure for use with this power supply. Here we have the little Banggood 28 volt 2 amp power supply with a remotely mounted control board. So the dimensions of the display relative to the two controls is fixed. I don't have the luxury of being able to move these encoders over here or wherever. And here I have a Banggood case. Now this case costs less than $8. It's a very, very good deal in my opinion. And Banggood suggests its use for this power supply. Now, these mounting holes, 4 mounting holes, fit the mounting studs inside the case. But of course the front panel is solid. It needs to be cut out. I've prepared a couple of templates I printed them on different colored paper, but that's... Now, let me say this first about these templates. They are drawn to scale, but they have to be printed in the landscape mode. Otherwise, you end up with this, which is not to scale. So decide on what you want for output jacks. My intention here was to use 2 conventional banana jacks and 2 recessed banana jacks. Here I just have a set of centers 3/4 inches apart, and you can mount 2 of whatever you have, preferably banana jacks, and at 3/4 inch centers they will accept a standard pre-made banana assembly. The way I intend these templates to be used is this template will be the final finished front panel on the power supply. Cut out on this line here. Cut out here. And with the holes all cut out, now I'm going to use a punch. But before we finish with this paper, we need to cut out these holes with a nice round device. And a drill normally doesn't work. This template is intended to transfer the centers of all these holes and this line to the front piece of plastic. Then these round holes will be drilled and this rectangular hole will be cut out. Okay? Now in order to do this, we need to cut these templates out. So using a straight edge, which of course I've kept clean, and some version of an X-Acto knife, we'll cut out these templates. Now I want to remove the line on the final front panel template. Now the end of the template is not a straight line from here to here. The case itself has a bit of an angle to it. We don't want to get this template dirty because it's going to be the final finished product. Now you see I've marked that this is the final front panel template. Now this is the front panel, the final front panel template. And so the device should look something like this, of course with knobs and holes and a display in it. This is a 16 volt 3.75 amp switching power supply. I'm thinking about using two of these in series to power the unit. What I normally do is go to the corner, sort of crack it. I don't go very deep because I have no idea what's inside. I have already done this and damaged the interior components. Now I'll try to work some screwdrivers into it. I use a series of increasing size screwdrivers. In an effort to get the case to crack. Probably should get an even bigger screwdriver. Get a little more crank on it. And we've cracked it. Now what I'd like to do is see if I could put 2 of these in here. And I can stack them vertically if I remove these little posts. I'll connect the 110 volt supplies in parallel, and I'll connect the DC output in series. That should give me 32 volts DC to supply this power supply. Now, since I intend to supply it with DC, I have not bothered to mount the diodes or the filter capacitor. The only function of these components are to convert the potentially AC input into DC. I've already got DC. Now I know that some of you have memories as good or better than my wife's, who forgets nothing. But I've marked the power supply with the voltage and current rating so that down the road I can remember exactly what it is. Now I have 2 of these power supplies with these metal shields. I can't let them touch. So what I've done was take a couple of pieces of cardstock. I put some glue, actually silicone caulk, underneath, on top. Put both power supplies together. I'll hold them together until the glue or the silicone dries with some electrical tape. Now this gives me a compact little power supply. I'll connect these outputs in series. I'll connect these inputs in parallel. And I should get 32 volts at a maximum of 3.75 amps, which is fine. We'll take the cutout template and center it as well as we can. And then we'll fasten the template in place with a bunch of these little clamps. That is, we'll fasten 1/2 of the template in place. Now we'll lift up the other half of the template, the unsecured half, and I'll smear some glue on. You don't have to bend the template very far. And then we'll lay the template down and work out any kinks. Now we're going to destroy this template, so it doesn't matter if it gets dirty. And then we'll move all these fasteners down to the glued portion of the template. And then I'll lift up the other half. Then I'll lay the other half down on the freshly glued surface. And I've got a little kink there, but I'll work it out. Work everything down. Move some clamps down here. Now at this point you could take the clamps off and just put a weight on it. but I don't have any good weights right now, so we'll clamp it with as many clamps as I have stuck around here. I'm going to let that dry. I have to leave till tomorrow anyway. We'll come back and finish it. I'm guessing this should have dried. The first thing I'm going to do is center punch the centers of all the holes. So an automatic center punch. It makes a little dimple in the plastic. Okay. So I'll do that to all of them. Then I'm going to gather up all of the front-mounted components so that I know exactly what size holes to drill. The last thing I'll do is cut this out. That is, cut the plastic out around the edges here.